Scott Orland with Cinema Magazine. As you can see, I'm here in Hollywood at the famed Egyptian Theater. Now, if you come with me, we're going to tell you a little bit about one of the most important men in Hollywood history. Now, when we think about some of the greats of Hollywood, you have Humphrey Bogart, you have James Dean, and then there is Steve McQueen, probably one of the coolest actors ever to inhabit Hollywood cinemas. But there's not a lot known about Steve McQueen. Well, we're going to give you a little insight right now. Here at the Egyptian, they're going to be having a retrospective about the career of Steve McQueen. Actually, if you look right here, how apropos, it's the German poster for the Thomas Crown Affair. But again, a lot of us don't know about Steve McQueen, but we've got someone right here who's going to give us some answers. I'd like to introduce you to Neal Adams. Neal was married to...
Mein Gott.
Oh, so there we go. Neal was married to Steve McQueen, and she has actually written a book, My Husband, My Friend, which is about her life and the story with Steve. And it is now the 20th anniversary of the book. Hopefully it hasn't been sold yet in Germany, but you're going to get a chance. Neal, my pleasure.
Hello.
Come a little closer.
Should I come?
No, this is fine. There is such a mystery about Steve McQueen. What made him so cool? What was it about his aura?
Well, nobody knew it at that time, but he was very cool. Actually, I think he also had his way of speaking, you know, all that language like my lemon, my melon, and the scam, and all that kind of stuff, which had never been heard in Hollywood before. And my old lady, he always called me his old lady. And when we would walk in someplace before the old lady became popular, they would look at me and say, what's old about her, right? And no, but anyway, and also he had that mystique about him because he was such a chameleon, you know, and he was not, when he was forthcoming, I mean, he went right to the point. You know, for instance, I'll tell you a story about, they were doing a story on Steve for Life magazine, and it was just right after The Great Escape was released, and so he just hit the big screen, and it was just enormous, you know. And so they got Tommy Thompson, who was a writer. I don't know whether he's still around or not, but Tommy Thompson was on a big story somewhere in Life magazine, pulled him out to do the story on Steve, to do a glowing report about this big star.
I have to get a little louder. It's a little noisy here. There's Hollywood Boulevard. It's right outside.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yeah.
hear me at all? Okay, so anyway, so they had an interview, and Tommy Thompson walked in this restaurant with Steve, who was sitting there, and he was obviously annoyed that he had to interview this actor and to make a glowing report for Life magazine, you know. So Steve said, "Okay, I'll make it easier for you." And he got up and he said, "Fuck you," and walked away.
See, that's an actor, but you can say that. But you mentioned The Great Escape, which we have the poster right here, and that was actually filmed in Germany, and you went with him when you were on the set. What do you remember about that time in Germany with Steve and The Great Escape?
Well, first of all, I love Germany. I think it's great. We were living in Dining, Bavaria, you know?
Bavaria.
Yeah, it was great. But he was fired twice from the movie. I remember that clearly.
Really?
Well, yes, because his character was not clearly defined. And John Sturges would, as was his habit, he would show whatever he had assembled, about 20 minutes worth of film, to show the actors how we were progressing, you know? And what happened was Steve had only shot maybe one scene. It was a little scene. And people like Jim Garner, who was already defined on the screen, his character was defined, and everybody else's, Richard Attenborough, David McCallum, but not Steve, so he just walked off, and he wouldn't come back until they fixed the script. And of course, John Sturges said, "Okay, I don't want him on the set, he's fired." And then the agents flew in, and everything was all set, and then they still hadn't found his thing that he used to call it. It's his character, you know. They knew there was going to be a motorcycle scene somewhere because Bud Eakins was already there because he was Steve's friend and brought him along, but they didn't quite know how to work it. And then he was fired again because his thing wasn't ready yet still. So anyway, they had a long talk after that, and so I remember John Sturges asking Bud Eakins, he said, "Can you jump a fence?" He said, "Oh yeah, sure." So anyway, so from there, that started all that stuff.
I just couldn't even imagine anybody, The Great Escape without Steve McQueen. It's so synonymous with it. Fascinating story. There are many fascinating stories. Happen to be in this book, My Husband, My Friend, which hasn't been sold in Germany yet. Hopefully we'll
Yes,
get to
we've
that.
got to sell it to Germany.
How cathartic was it for you, interesting to go back? Because Steve never wrote his own story, so you're the only person to tell this story.
Well, incredibly, it was, I mean, when people would come to me and tell me it would be really cathartic, I really had no idea what it meant, you know, but I knew I had to grieve. I had just gotten married the second time, at the time he died. So, and it was really fast, you know, and I couldn't grieve in front of my husband, my new husband. So everything was kept inside, you know, when I feel like I'm crying, I got to the bathroom. And then I just started writing. And then writing and writing, finally my husband took pity on me and he got me a word processor at that time. So I started typing like mad, and that's what it was. It was incredible. It was my grieving period is what it was.
Well, there's a lot about Steve McQueen. Hopefully we're going to get to learn about it if you read the book or if you get a chance to see some of his movies. And apparently this book has been sold the rights to be made into a movie.
Yes. Right now Jeremy Renner is attached to it, and I don't know, I'm sure Germany.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Renner. He actually just filmed a movie in Germany.
Oh, okay. He's doing the Bourne thing. But, you know, it won't be until probably 2013 until this thing starts shooting. Cross Creek is doing it. They did the Black Swan.
Well, that is fascinating. I can't believe it. I can't thank you enough for coming down here. What a pleasure. And the book, amazing. And this is Scott Orland. Until next time.